Hi guys, welcome back to All Things Fantasy. I am your host, Ella Scrivo, aka Zenkia Yerpe, and I'm happy to have you back. And yes, today is our continuing video of our second part of formation of your fantasy languages for your series. I'm really happy to continue this. It's been, it's been like 2.5 weeks since I put out the first one. And I really had a great time with that. I really had an amazing time. It was just so much fun doing that video. And for today, we are going to continue and I'm going to show you, we're going to actually put a language together, a make-believe fantasy language together, and we are going to actually create a hypothesis, a situation, a fantasy realm series, a little story, a character, and we're just going to create that and formulate that from one of our inspired languages that we actually use here on our planet Earth, French and German, and see what we come up with. Well, I'm really excited about that. And I wanted to show you something, guys. Today we, my kiddos and I, we went to the library. I homeschool. And so today was our library day. And we were able to get required classical reading for our studies. For each child actually picks out a book of required reading that they actually need to read in their off time, like outside school hours. And so one of the books actually that are on the required reading is The Count of Monte Cristo. And I know you probably can't see this, like it's backwards. I'm sorry. Yeah. This is actually, I borrowed this. I'm checking this out from the library, and this is a leather bound book, and it is stunning. I also checked out some Charles Dickens books for the kids, Christmas Carol, Oliver Twist, for my 7th graders to read. And but this one, I'm like, the librarian said, I don't know if we have it. Let me go check and see if we have it. The Count of Monte Cristo was on the list of required reading. And I'm like, oh yes, awesome. Because you know what I want to do? I have plans to read this book before my 12-year-old reads it. I'll have him read, while I'm reading this, Oliver Twist, Charles Dickens. And I want to be able to see if I can squeeze this in. I know, like at the very beginning, the very first video that I put out, I said, I'm not a reader. And I haven't been in a while, a long time since I started, popping out kids. But I think I want to make time for this. I've been wanting to. It's just been in the back of my pocket, things to do list for a while now, and I really want to read this during my before bedtime. I want to get this down. The Count of Monte Cristo. I'm so excited. I'm going to be and this is the first one off the gate in a long time since I've read. Like when like I said, it's been a long time. So without further ado, here is our second part to forming your own languages. Let's go. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel and creating your own languages for your fantasy series. Now this is part 2 of creating your own languages for your fantasy series. If you had not have a chance to watch my first part video that I put out a couple weeks ago, please, by all means, I strongly suggest you to check that video out first before you watch this one, because you're going to need to have it in your pocket when you watch the second part. So creating your own and forming your own languages. So after you watch that video, come right back here. And as always, do not forget, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel, hit the notification button, hit the like button, and that way when my new videos pop up, new videos come on my channel, you'll be able to know and see that videos are coming and be able to watch them. All right, awesome, let's get going. So just kind of picking up where we left off last time. in creating and forming your own languages. Now, the very first part of this video series, what I was talking about, what we're trying to do here is create. If you are a fantasy writer and you love writing, languages and just creating languages for particular characters or species, or I don't know, what have you, ghouls, monsters, angelic beings, supernatural beings, what have you, and languages for your particular series, world building. So for the last video we were talking about in formulating your languages and creating your series, and all of these particular types of like characters, species, type of world building. Languages is a very big, crucial component to world building, and it's something that it's really important to have, especially if you have like an epic fantasy series and you have all of these like worlds, and it really makes for a great historical context and just drawing parallels between different types of just civilizations, characters, family, genealogy lines, whatnot, and how language is code for how civilization changes, how it just it's able to evolve over time. So, and some people don't have languages in their epic series, but it's always good to have it for as to really create a subtext and to develop your story well. And so that's why I'm making this video. And what I brought up here is I brought up two images. An image here on the right is our just a kind of a fresh concept image of a girl with bright red hair, curly hair, and she's just very eclectic looking, whatnot, and she actually is a character for our hypothetical character for this little exercise that we're doing here for the video, a fantasy character. And what we have done here on the left here is just a iconic just kind of a French imagery of maybe Joan of Arc, handmaiden of France, White Lady of France, whatnot. It's dating back early Renaissance, maybe late medieval period. French iconography, there you go, just to kind of give you like an idea of what we are going to be doing for this particular exercise. And I have so we are actually focusing on French and German, and very old French, antiquity French, old French, and modern French, which we have here. And I have some flashcards up, and I want to show you, kind of put these in order here. All right, so here we have late Roman, early medieval, Gaul, and this is what the French language was before it actually became French. So this is more like a Gaul language of in the Celtic, I would say, Celtic linear period during the late Roman, early medieval. And just to kind of give you like a read of what it may have sounded like, Andonina, Andininden, Uedi, Lumi, de Lyon, Risen, Eratu, Maison, a really Leon, Lotiti, Sinidi Dick, So Brextite, Andrion. All right. Okay. So that actually, I'm going to tell you, being a speaker of French, and I'm not fluent in French,
by any means, but I guess I'm more or less like, intermediate conversational French, and living in France for 6, 7 years. This particular like dialect of, I guess it would be, it's like a Celtic dialect, but early Gaul actually was it's part of the Celtic civilization, Celtic culture, Celtic history. And this is actually from when I studied this, and I looked this up, this is actually very close to what early like Gaelic sounded. It's similar to that of Gaelic, close to it. So that's what we're looking at here for our Gaul language for late Roman, early medieval. Next, we have here, I'm going to kind of minimize that, Old French from 1340 to 1610 CE. This is what Old French sounded like. Pro die à mieux et pro chrétien, pueblo, industriel, commune, salvement, d'avant, and con. Now, I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of familiarity to what, very familiar. There's a lot of words in here that are very familiar to that, of the modern day French language, but it's like a nice sandwich between like French and that of Latin, and which doesn't surprise me because during this in the Middle Ages, Latin was one of the main languages that was still spoken, not only in the papal culture of like the church and like among scribes or whatnot, but also among merchants and tradesmen, and also like in noble households. So that doesn't surprise me that in the pro die amieux a protection, God of love, die amieux, that's like, yeah, God of love, and salvation, avant is before, which is actually used in modern day French. So like I said, it's a nice like little amalgamation of that between Latin and modern day French. No surprise there. Between 1340 1610, this is the type of French that was spoken during that period. Okay, and kind of going here to modern day French, which is very recognizable, and there c'est découragement en creux qu'il fut son effet sur Mrs. Dashwood a crevé pour toute la petite séparation à l'archer à l'énorme. And this particular, this is just, I can just do a very quick translation of this. The discouragement after what Mrs. Dashwood, without effect, was, she had gravitated in all of a little between of that, of she was just aggressively separated, her little separation from her sister Eleanor, what had left her. So so she was very discouraged. Again, feeling without the effect of the aggressive separation from after leaving Eleanor. So that's modern day French, and I apologize for the clunky translation that I did there for. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create, finally, here we go. I am going to create an original language for our character here on the right. Our This is our fresh new hypothetical character that has it's part of our fantasy series, and we are going to formulate a language that is loosely or more or less, similar to that of the one of the French language dispensation timelines. And we need to choose one particular form of French. It can't, it can't be, oh, well, let's use the whole language of French, because I'm going to tell you this, but the specificity of what particular timeline French that you choose is going to benefit the character that we have on the right. If you look at the character here on the right, we see it's a fresh, new, kind of eclectic character. What type of French would actually be befitting to her? Would it be the antiquity Gaul dialect? Would it be the old French, which would be the sandwich of the French and Latin dialect, or would it be the modern day French? What would be befitting to her? And what we're going to do, we're not going to just kind of like, oh, here's some like for example, here's a line from the Gaul, late Roman, early medieval. Andion, Udi, Lumin, de Lyon. Oh, I'll just take that line here. I'll take this line here, and I'll just like, I'll just kind of like create like a brand new like language of, say, oh, Andion. Andion means like, oh, lion. It means lion. Or Unidi means like, there's another word. Oh, that means like, I don't know, sky. No, we are not going to do that. This actually is an example that this inscription, these particular dialects of the French language serves as inspirations. It's an inspiration. Yeah. No. I'm not going to make it that easy for you. We are going to, more or less, we're going to take the root of these words, and we are going to formulate what these, and make up our own. And it's not going to be it's not going to be difficult, I'm going to tell you. It's going to be a creative way of doing it. And so we already pulled two words from here, from the Old Gaul, Endymion, and Uendi. So, and we see that when we actually had said this is actually very familiar and similar to that of Gaelic. And Andi Uedi. Now, so this is actually late. This is early Antiquity Gaul. So this is Antiquity Gaul. Antiquity Gaul. Now, so we want to actually pull some verbiage, vocabulary that is going to be befitting for this character. And we want to be able to have it make sense. It has to make sense. It has to be creative. It has to be fresh. Now, on the image on the left of we have the Joan of Arc type image that's right here. We have to understand. Okay, let's make a decision. So, what type of language do you think this particular, say, this image is from, like, I would say the late medieval, early Renaissance. I would say the 15th century, 1400s. What do you think that, what type of French would she actually be speaking? Most likely this one here, right? From 1340 to 1610. Des mieux et pro chrétien, Pablo, en Austriel, en commune. Salvement, die, die en vont, and compte. And compte actually is conned, like when or whatnot. So that's pretty much, to give you an idea, that's most likely what French sounded like when this character, Joan of Arc, or Joan of Arc character, was living. Now, this girl here on the right, our eclectic, I'd say time traveler. Who is she? Who's she going to be? She is let's say she's a time traveler or time voyager, and she has landed into a just a very weird dimension, epic fantasy realm. She's a time voyager, epic fantasy realm. Say, like, I don't know, she speaks I don't know, she speaks English and maybe a couple other languages, whatnot. She could be a college student that is a time traveler. Her job is to time travel. I mean, she works for an organization. She works for a firm that is a time voyager traveler firm, and they do all kinds of things, and they work for, it's like a kind of like special little like unit in the, I don't know, high level government in the government, whatnot. And so she is an eclectic time traveler. When she arrives in this particular epic fantasy realm here, what is the realm that she's in? And she actually, what happens is that she thinks that she's going to, okay, I'm going to go here to this particular mission, this particular job. I got to do what I have to do and come back out again. However, that doesn't happen. She actually does a particular mission, a job, and she doesn't come back out. She stays, she's like stranded. She's stuck and she can't get out. She can't go back home to report to her superior, at the firm, what, she's been doing. So she's stuck there. And she spends like 5 or 6 years there. And she's very depressed at first, trying to get, I don't know, her time travel machine to work, but that's broken down, and she's given hope on that. So in order to make herself manageable and to get around and to be able to function as a civilian there in this like epic dimension, whatnot, she has to learn a language. And this particular language that is that happens to be spoken there, and is let's make it up. And an inspiration, a language from our period time, which is French. What type of French can we formulate to create? We can actually pull from different timelines of, we can pull like Old French from like Gaul French from Old French and modern day French, and make it like make it something very creative and new. So why don't we try, we already pulled a couple of words from our Old French, which is Andillon and Uadi. Okay, so let's say we have Dion and UA. How are these going to be pronounced? Do we want to actually bring our French like our accent with it? We can if we want, but we don't want to completely pronounce it like French, so it's going to be somewhere in between. So we have Dion and UA. So what is Dion? What can Dion mean? So Dion and UA, that could mean something. So Dion UA, that's from the Gaul French. Then let's kind of pull something out of here from the Old French, 1340 to 1610 French, Nostrel. Okay. let's pull this word. You see how I'm like taking like the annex, like the ending sounds and like the root sounds of a word, and I'm having no, dion. And then we have, let's go to our modern French. We have lâcher, lâcher, lâcha, lâcher. It's not pronounced lâcher, it's lâcher, lâcher. And with lâcher, let's take lâcher here. To means to leave alone, to move back, to separate. You know what? I want to take this word to kia. Now, we have to decide. We need to decide these vocabulary. I heard something like it in my ceiling, chewing on something. That's very weird. Okay. Kia, dion, non. And it's really interesting. It says non here. Actually, there's NOS, which I pulled, and I just so happened to look at it. Non, that is actually means hour in modern day French. But we can actually make it mean something else. Neuve. So let's form these words together. Neuve, kia, dion. What type of world is she living in? And how are these words going to be pronounced? So, these words that we have formed, and they're not going to be pronounced like in like French, accent, but completely new words for a new language. Let's try instead of I don't want to say kia dion. We can, but you can also say kia dion for something completely different of the meaning of that word. So this word kia can be pronounced as like chia. By itself can mean to like alone. Kia, whereas chia, you can only say chia with dion or dian. Or dian. Because if you say chia by itself, that is maybe, for example, that's a derogatory, it means something derogatory or something negative in that particular language, kia. But if you say kia dion, you would be like, what? You're saying you're alone, and that would make sense. So you would only say that, whereas chia dion means great one. The translation for that means great one. Chia dion, kia dion means something completely different when it's said by itself. Do you see how you can build a language in a very creative way, and with synonyms and words that are spelled the same means something completely different if it's used in a particular context that is negative or whatnot positive. So kia dion. Here we also have non. We're just going to leave this non pronounced as non, that we would pronounce we in modern day French. Non ve. No, I'm saying it's not no ve, it's no noye. 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 So noye, what is noye? What could noye mean? Noye can mean like Noye can mean like elder. That sounds something that's very like a sacred type of or noye. So you have kia, which means alone. You have kia dion, which means great one. Dion cannot be, it's like a broken off word, cannot be by itself. Whereas Dian can mean to rise. Dion means to rise. Dion cannot be used by itself. Non ve elder. Now, from these words that we've actually formed, we can create, like, you can get a sense, you get an idea of what your numbers sound like. What does your number sound like? Let's say here for example, for the French, you have un, deux, trois, 1, 2, 3. But for this language that we are going to call I'm just kind of making this up as I go. The Malavel. Let's say the Malave. The Malave. The Melon. I'm going to do something that's a little bit. The Melanvoy. The Melanva. Melanva. Say Melanva language. Our numbers can be like, let's do ne, te, nu, cute, fov. Ne, te, nu, coot, fov. Now, and that's something that's a little bit similar to, I guess you can say maybe, a little Latin, because you have coot, which is cat, and, fov, 5, could be German, whatnot. That gives you guys a indication. You have to play around with it. Being creative, really stretching the limits. And this is what's so interesting about creating your own language. You can be as creative as you want to be. You can connect the dots. You can connect parallels and make complete lore and fables and myths behind these names. Like Kia, what's the myth behind this alone? Qui don, you can just create and write short stories and myths and how did these names came to be, and that way you're able to establish and build your lexicon, your lexicon structure for your series. All right. Okay. Here we are with our German. So, our German formation, and how we are going to take some vocabulary, verbiage from the German language, which could be from any time dispensation, like the antiquity, old Germanic tribe antiquity. That sounds like this. And Olia, Manuswa, Lurhara, Santi Anim, Somiana, Vertongod, nim rectonginato. And I'm going to pronounce that again. Is Nijanto. Nijanto. Apologize for that. Okay, and that's Proto-Indo, 2500 BC to 1000 BC. So that's quite the antiquity, stage of the very early, it's not really even German, but it's just like the ancestral linguistic language of German that we have today. So that, and then we have Old High German, which is 600 AD to 1050 AD, and that's Elminiskan Zingfri Unti Gilje Anna Verdi Unti Reten Gebran Nini. So there's some recognizable vocabulary of German. I will tell you that I don't speak German. However, I sing in German, like German lieder, like classic German songs. Just coming up as a classical vocalist, a singer, singing German operas, arias. I'm able to actually sing in this, but as far as like speaking, I do a little bit of German, tiny bit. But as far as it sounds like a good conversational language to pick up as a second, maybe third language. Okay, and then we have our modern day German, which is from 1500 AD to the present. Alle Menschen sind frei und gleich onward und den geboren. Geboren. Yes, so that's just like, that's your perfect modern day version German. That they've had it for 500 years, and that's their, as far as the Germans are concerned, that's their perfect version of German. And I don't know if it's going to be changing anytime soon, so there you go. So we have our antiquity version German, we have our Old High German of early Middle Ages to Middle Ages, and then we have our modern day German. So what can we do with these this language and making it being inspired, greatly inspired by these types of these types of German that we can actually formulate into a new fresh language for this character here on our right. So we have on our right there our fantasy character that we're going to give the language to, and then on the left we have our Germanic tribe, soldier, whatnot. Okay, so let's move on to how we're going to get this. I'm going to actually keep this a little bit bigger. Use my cards a little bit bigger here. And then, all right. So what can we do? Okay, let's start with our modern day German from 1500 to the present. We have al, which is I think that's actually going fry as okay. So we have al, and then we have envode. Now, like I said before, if this was French, I would be able to definitely tell and give you a translation to that, but I don't know what these words are. And we are just going to play it by ear here. So we have alle, and envode. So what can we do? Now I'm going to tell you here, I'm going to bring in a, okay, so it's this guy. This is the character that we're going to give our language to. So let's set up a scenario, a hypothetical scenario of this character here. Where is he from? What location where he's in, whatnot. Now we can actually, what we can do, the same kind of like, scenario of that we set up for our last character, our French character who was a time traveler voyager. And she landed in this fantasy world where she's stuck. She's unable to get out, and she actually had to learn ways of getting around, and so she chose the language. I wanted to make that clear that I did not make clear last time, that the language that she did chose was like the easier of the, like, I don't know, the easier of the 5 languages that is pertinent, that is the mother tongues of that area. There's 5 mother tongues in that location where she was at, and she chose to use the lesser of the 2 evils, one that is actually was going to be easier for her to pick up and to get around. So this guy here, who is he? Who is our comrade here? Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you. He is going to be like a... Let's make him a wizard. Or just a high-level like wizard like Gandalf. There you go. A high-level wizard like Gandalf. Very Gandalf-esque. Now, he actually bumps into this, our character, our redheaded, fantasy character, that the time voyager, and he bumps into her, or actually sees her just kind of like stumbling around the place after she's been there for 5 years, and she's just like depressed, but she's trying to make the most of it. He sees her, say, hey, you know what? You're here for a special purpose. And but what's his character like? He comes to her, he's here for a special purpose, and there are some things that I have for you to do that will just, because you're not just here on randomly, but he puts her through this type of training, or so to speak, and I know that's maybe a little bit of a cliche trope of wizard taking like this, newbie, like, person that, I don't know if I'm good enough or whatnot, and I'm not doing really well, and That's a very kind of, overplayed trope, I know, but this is just for the purposes for this sample for the video. What is this character like? Well, he actually is, he's very, very just, he's sarcastic. He is he's a hard ass. He trains hard. He's a hard trainer. He trains hard, but he's incredibly he's very learned. Let's put that down. He's very learned teacher. Okay. And yeah, he's quite learned, and he's just he's learned, he's he's intelligent. He's just a very high level wizard. He can, disappear and, walk through walls, going through different dimensions and whatnot, and realms, and check up on things and that sort of thing. So, and yes, so I will tell you, we need to know the type of characteristics for this character to know what type of language to give your character. So when you have, this is really good. I apologize if my dogs are barking. Like, oh my God. When you're writing your language for your book, formulating your language in your Bible codex, one of the things you when you're formulating, you're like for your Bible codex for your fantasy series, and you're really just kind of getting off of the grassroots on a clean slate, foundation wise, is to have a picture like this, and right on your vision board or your Pinterest board, what have you, and just kind of choosing some words from an inspirational language that we use today, and really building up a character like listing of what this character is like. Because if this character is like hardcore wizard, depending on he's not demure. I mean, he's just really kind of cutthroat. He's sarcastic, whatnot. Like that would give you just make it easier for you to choose a language that would be what language sounds very just like harsh or very just abrupt and very just sounds oh, excuse me, yes, very pompous, or just something that's just not very enduring, or that maternal effect. And the first language that probably a lot of us would think would be German, because it just sounds very harsh, and the vowels and the consonants are just very rough sounding, and because it's a very throaty language. And so, yes, I mean, depending on his character, very hard, sarcastic, pompous. So with that, we are going to take some of these words. Let's I'm gonna do a research here. Anyways, all right, I'm gonna take some of these words, or just whatever. Take some of these words where it says ale. So ale and onward. I do know that all your W's are pronounced as these in German, and your F's are pronounced as V's. So let's take le, and then we're going to take verd. And let's see what we can come up with. We have, now also, if you want, what you could do, you could take some of the language itself, like the dialect, the sound of the German language, and put it to good use in your new language, but not too much. So we have le word, and see. Okay, so that's from our present day German. Let's go over to, oh goodness. Let's go over to our other one, our old Germanic language that sounded, that's the old one, manusoi, which is nothing like today's German. And then we'll take le, lud, heroi. Now these are probably the only ones we're going to kind of work with today. Okay, so I don't want to make this video incredibly long, because I know the first one was a little bit long, but I promise we will revisit this later on, and formulating languages, more languages. This is just the tip of the iceberg, everyone. So so we have le word, which was actually made up of here, which made up of these two al and onward. Le word, so we're gonna do you sois and lud. How are these going to sound? So we have le word. Now, if you were le word, you can actually do a le word, le word, le word. So I can actually imagine this character saying that while he's training our pretty redhead character. He's putting her through some training. La verde, la verde. And la verde actually can be like faster. That can be a word for faster. And what's the name of the language that we can actually, the culture? So he actually speaks this language in particular that we are giving him is called the, let's call it the, you know what? Let's come back to that later after we get some more of these vocabularies transitioned. La Fred means faster. Okay, Manasoy, we took USSWA. USSWA. Now remember, we're not going to have it sound like a French language that, you know, one of the lower, because the one of the languages that she actually, our other fancy character picked up is the more of the easier languages. More likely that's going to be a lower economical a language spoken by lower economical people, a peasant language, you know, easy to get around. You're not doing a lot of trade, merchant, you know, it's not a language for scribes, for noblemen, higher classmen, whatnot. These are for people who may or may not be able to read or write. So she's at the bottom of that. Yeah, so remember, he's speaking a bilocal verbiage, meaning like he's saying, for example, if you would say like assis-toi, which is French for sit down, you said assis-toi, sit down. You're going to say, okay, so the language is spoken. So he is speaking this particular language, the German inspired language, to her, as well as the peasant language that we just finished forming from our French inspiration. And so it's a bilocal type of language. So la ved, faster. So USSWA, we're making USSWA and lude, USSWA lude. So USSWA can actually be two different words. So USSWA can be to pierce, and lewd is not going to be pronounced as we see lewd. It's going to be pronounced leud, leud, leud. So we get that little bit of German kick into it at the end. Leud, leud. So we got levid, levid, leud, uswa, uswa. And you know what? Actually, I think for the uswa, it's not going to be uswa. It's not going to be a swat, but it's going to be more of like a uswa, uswa, and lud, which is going to be lived, leund. Let's see, leud means to, I don't know, to sit. We can say leud, sit. Uswa is to pierce. Leved, and actually leved's not going to be this two-syllable word. Leved. It's going to be spoken so fast. Leved, ved, faster. Okay, so we've got all of those. Let's do a, oh gosh, what did I just do? I know, what did I do? An eraser. Where is my eraser? I'm trying to find my eraser. Okay. For some reason, I can't erase any of these. Okay, so remember the character, these characterizations. So we have levid. We have unswa, remember? So it's like the bottom teeth is right up against the inside of the lip. Mswa, 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 yud. So they're actually 2-syllable vocabulary words, but they're spoken so fast that it comes out as a 1-syllable. So let's do for 3. Let's go up to 4. Go up to 5. So 1 is can be ne. 2 can be foot. No, toot. 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 We can actually put a toot. Ne, toot. Toot. 3 is 3 can be ra. 4 is canute. Quanute. And 5 is frivo. Frivo. Okay, so 1. Ne. Ne. 2. Tuv. Tuiv. 3. Vril. 4 is quanut. Tunt. So it's again, it's that throaty backward sound, but it's spoken so fast that it comes out as a 1-syllable word. Kunt. Knut. You slow it down. Knut. 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 Spoken fast. 5 is frive. 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 Tiny bit of a little bit of French, but it's mostly frive. 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 And it almost sounds like 5 when you say it really fast. Frive. So, there we have it. We have and what is this language going to be called? It's going to be called now remember, this is a high-level language that wizards speak. And they also speak telepathically to each other or to other high-level, enchantress and, magicians, that sort of thing. And like I said, he's speaking this language to her as he's speaking the peasant language. It's also a possibility he's speaking the peasant language to her naturally, but this language here, he's speaking to her telepathically. She's not really getting it, but as she's understanding what he's saying to her in the peasant language, it means the same. It's a translation for the other language. So it's like I said, bilocale language. This language is called Vro. The Vro language. Culture of Vro. Culture of Vro. High level language. Okay, guys. And I believe that is it. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching my formation of fantasy languages, and I had such a great time making this series. And yes, it was long, but it was so good, and I hope it was helpful to you. I hope you got some really great tips from it, and just ways, a lot of great assistantship to help you in your own fantasy series and forming your own culture and languages, and just taking whatever you can, spitting out the bones and swallowing the meat, if any. Anything that you could take from it that would actually help you in formulating your videos, please, by all means, if you haven't seen the first part of this series, go back and watch part 1 and then part 2 again, so that way you can get actually the full digestion of exactly what I'm trying to show you with the methodology of forming your own languages. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Again, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, like and share, and push that notification button whenever my videos do come out. And go ahead and follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And I will see you next time.